Ellora and Ajanta caves and the dedication of those who built them by hand nearly 1500 years ago. What if you were a Buddhist in the 6th century? And what if you were tasked with the most difficult undertaking in engineering and excavation the Buddhist world may have ever known? For almost 500 years, Buddhist monks not only toiled on these steep rock-faced cliffs to carve them into create monuments to their deities, but these same builder monks actually lived in the caves as a religious retreat and dormitory during their construction. Starting around 200 AD and working till almost 650 AD, those who worked here had a sense of purpose, a vibe that told them that what they were doing was divine, and the command of the gods, when in fact it was by command of the leaders of the Satvahana dynasty, which ruled the region during the time the caves were being carved from solid stone. The engineering was primitive, with an old saying being, "We have plenty of time, but not plenty of riches, so we toil with hands instead of wealth," still being used today by those who are not content to let someone else do the important work, when they can be rewarded the experience of doing it themselves. Then they can stand back, and when it is complete, savor the blood, sweat, and tears that were instilled into the very fabric of the effort. The religious implications are obvious, with the base desire of these workers to please the gods and invite into the caves the sunlight that was considered life energy. Yet the fact that so many must have been injured or perished while working here would have led to the monks having a strong sense of personal pride and skill. As construction went on, an entire class of people became more relevant as the ones who built these caves and lived in them for the vast majority of their lives. Aside from the religious features, the sheer willpower and manpower needed to carve with simple hand tools from a cliff face of solid rock is immense, to say the least. Even today, a company setting forth to do such a project such as Ellora and Ajanta would have required months of measurements, alignments, logistics that would all be done on lightning-fast architecture programs and job planning software. These builders of old used the planets and stars as their tools, and with knowledge of the celestial movements and paths of the planets and moon, they put into action a plan that was in flux, with all of the pre-made calculations of modern construction practices being learned and exercised as the project took place. In the caves are found to be numerous religious forms, shapes, alignments, and points, where eclipses, solstices, and celestial events of all kinds were set in stone, for all eyes to see for what will likely be tens of thousands of years into our own future. We see elements of modern society being placed onto fragile thumb drives and poorly built infrastructure, built to last decades instead of centuries. These monks, with their hands, made edifices that will outlast the buildings and homes we live in today by hundreds of times over. And this fact shows the difference between a society that had one single purpose in mind and today's society, which is so overloaded by information and tactile input that only sees a short time into the future. The Ellora and Ajanta caves are truly a near-permanent example of the dedication of the human mind, body, and spirit, which we still today are endowed with, and we should always strive to reveal within ourselves with every new breath and heartbeat.